Okay, ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Hang on. Wait, no, do that again. Sorry, if that was your attempt at counting, you're shit.
I'm just not
You're
listening.
so shit.
I'm just so embarrassed. I feel like I've been really
Three,
offensive.
two, one.
Oh, was that? Were you counting?
No.
Okay, let me put it back again.
Right, let me do it because apparently I'm the only one here who can count.
Okay. I am the
Oh,
count.
you have a Moffat approach to time mechanics. Anyway, right.
Would be Wobbly,
3,
County Downey.
2, 1.
Today we stand at the altar of one of the most traumatic episodes in Doctor Who history, or Whostory. With me today is another stupid ape, Joseph. So,
Hello.
Hi Joseph, how are you?
Hello. I'm doing very, very well.
You
I'm
can't.
feeling
You
more
can't.
stupid than usual.
You ape. So, you egg. Anyway, I'm Christopher.
Well remembered.
Yeah.
I think you're even more of a stupid ape than I am.
Maybe.
Congratulations.
So yeah, no, we're talking about Father's Day by Paul Cornell. Paul Cornell.
Who's Paul Cornell?
Paul Cornell also wrote Human Nature, that two-parter.
Ooh.
And yeah, no, he's a bit of a legend. He also wrote for the BBC show Robin Hood, which was awesome. That's what I used to put on whenever Doctor Who wasn't on. And it's got an extreme cult following, that show. It is excellent. He also wrote for Primeval, which is at least the first 4 series of Primeval are pretty banging. It's great stuff. Also one of the best things Ben Miller ever did. Ben Miller is absolutely amazing in it. It's actually something I never...
That was also...
Go on.
That was also a direct competitor to Torchwood, interestingly, at the time, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, on ITV.
Yeah.
And Primeval was awesome. It was so good. Especially the first series is so concise in what it's doing. I didn't know he also wrote lots of different things. Well, he's done
he writes loads of books and stuff.
Marvel Comics, DC Comics does that as well. Yeah. He also wrote a lot of like the kind of Eighth Doctor kind of novels in the time.
What, Big Finish stuff or?
I think okay, so I said he wrote loads. I think he wrote 1, so forget that. But he does loads of like novelizations for Doctor Who. Like he did the novelization of Scream of Shauka and Twice Upon a Time. He's just a pretty prolific writer of kind of, I don't know how to say it, kind of comic-y stuff. Although his 2 stuff he's written for Doctor Who is not. It's kind of like that because it understands that a Doctor Who has a figure, and but it obviously. The 2 things he's written are pretty domestic, Father's Day and the Human Nature two-parter,
Yeah, he sticks to small, sort of close communities, but focus an awful lot on side characters and stuff.
Yeah, and
more than like most other writers around Doctor Who.
Yeah, and both
focuses almost more on the other characters than on the main ones. Weirdly.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, I mean, because both of those episodes as well have a huge focus on trauma and traumatic events. Obviously, one is based around World War One, and stuff like that, and then this one's based around Rose's trauma. And we've been saying in the last few episodes that this is basically Rose's Dalek. This is the one where she has to confront her huge traumatic moment, and she also throws a wobbly.
Absolutely.
Basically,
I wouldn't call it. Yeah, it's less of a wobbly, more of a tumbly.
Yeah. Yeah, she's just posting like random pictures on a website that you can buy, and if you want the rights for. That sounds weird. I meant like graphic design mainly.
You're trying to make a reference to Tumblr.
Yes, thank you.
It's not going very well.
No. Does it come in black?
Shut up. Right. Yeah. The point is, this is probably the first episode since Rose where we've gone fully introspective on the companion rather than the Doctor. The Doctor has usually been the focus of any of the sort of big character motivations going on in the series. Even in something like the Long Game.
I mean, Aliens of London is the other one I challenge you on there. But I mean, like you said, Aliens of London is more about everything, isn't it, to be honest? So you're right. Fine. Yeah. Carry on.
Even to the extent that the Long Game is almost about the Doctor using someone else to reassert his position with his companion.
Yeah.
And make a point.
And leaving a hole in his head.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, weirdly put, but yeah. So yeah, this is probably one of, weirdly, now I think about it, it's one of the best sort of illustrative uses of Rose as a character to sort of flesh her out in this one. I think showing this side of her backstory is surprisingly useful for her, because she doesn't have an awful lot endearing us to her in terms of what we know about her, except for the fact that she worked in a shop.
I think we've kind of taken her at this point as a kind of everyman, but as a girl.
An everyman, except she's a woman.
Yeah, twist. But did you
crisscross?
You got everybody clap your hands.
No.
Yeah. But yeah. I think that's kind of how we've accepted her. I think as well, like, question: do we know until this episode that her father is dead?
No, we don't. It's sort of just explained that he's not there.
So it's a bit of a melody pond throw-in.
Kind of,
but not handled as badly as that. It's just handled quite well.
I think most people would have assumed naturally that, given the tone of the show being a lot like a soap in many ways, that we took Jackie as being a single mum because of either a divorce or splitting up, or having Rose very young, so it could have been something where the father wasn't interested. Yeah, I think everyone made the assumption that they didn't have a happy marriage, which in some ways they didn't. But
yeah, which is for us here, right?
This is interesting to suddenly sort of turn that on its head and show there's a tragedy behind it, which is the right way to do a sort of almost a twist like that, to show that her father is actually extremely important to her. I was going to say it's Freudian, but I was going to say Freud's more about the mother, isn't it? So maybe not.
No, it's all about everyone, really.
You tell me. You know about.
No, it works both ways.
Yeah. Oh. So it'd be interesting to see whether her characteristics are in any way defined by her lack of a father figure, especially around the Doctor.
Yes, actually. Good point. I wasn't even considering Freud to come up in this one, but obviously it possibly will.
He's bloody everywhere.
It'll definitely come up next week. Sod. There's no way Freud isn't going to come up next week.
What, because of a certain character coming in?
Well, no. Oh, it's more to say, "Are you my mummy?" and the whole thing.
Oh, right.
So
yeah, true.
Sean Dingwall, who plays Pete Tyler, is introduced in this episode.
That's a great name. That's absolutely fantastic.
Dingwall, it is cool, isn't it?
Go ahead, Dingwall. That's just great. That's such a ring to it.
I'm looking at what he's done.
Yeah, I've never seen him in anything else.
No, he's in a lot of kind of stuff that's quite, I'd say, good, but low key stuff.
Yeah. There's a lot of people in this series who I haven't seen anything else.
Yeah, but I mean, he's in a lot. He's in BAFTA winning TV shows and stuff.
Oh. Well, like Doctor Who.
Yeah. So I mean,
did this series of Doctor Who win a BAFTA?
Should we have a look?
I know it's probably the wrong point to be talking about that. I just
who cares?
Wondered, really.
All of our things are way too long anyway. So let's just see what. Right. I don't know if that means wins. Quickly.
What are you doing?
Quickly talk. I'm seeing if it won or not. A BAFTA.
Okay.
I mean,
I thought when you said "who cares," I meant to assume that meant you weren't going to look it up.
No, I'm looking it up.
But somehow you do care, as it turns out.
Yeah, I do like BAFTA.
There you go then.
Right, I just don't know, to be honest, because I've got on here.
And who cares?
Well, did you know that Doctor Who: The Adventure Games won something in 2012? I never played those.
The Adventure Game.
Yeah, the weird gunpowder plot thing. They're always advertised. I tell you what, they
looked dreadful.
Well, the one that came out on PS3 was kind of bad, but very enjoyable if you like Doctor Who. You just have to overlook it as a game. Because it was really cool, and the way it used time mechanics was very pleasing. That's got nothing to do with Father's Day. I will say about Father's Day, I always find it weird, this episode, in terms of no one really talks about this episode, but there is such a mutual respect for it. It's a very unspoken respect for this episode, because it's not a fun episode. I think that's why. This episode isn't fun.
It's extremely sad and serious. But also, interestingly, is it reflects something quite important that's worthy of noting later about each showrunner's attitude to time mechanics, because this is a surprisingly sci-fi-ish episode, because it has to take its time travel rules heavily into account, especially paradoxes, because in Rusty Davis's New Who, paradoxes means the Reapers turn up and everything's awful, even if it's like one person not dying. But then when you get to like Moffat's era, it's like what do you call it? Paradoxes are basically like a sort of light plot point that propels everything that goes on.
Yeah, well, the paradox
which is interesting to show the difference between the two of them.
Or like with Moffat, it can happen if the writing deems that it will happen. No, this is a fixed moment, you know?
Yeah, but obviously, like then fixed moments get rewritten, and then it's like, oh, well, that's a paradox.
Yeah,
and it's sort of,
I guess
it's sort of like, yay, paradoxes.
I guess this stuff isn't really
two
touched
completely different
upon
totally
much by T. Davies anyway. This is touched upon in this, and then Fires of Pompeii, and then Waters of Mars.
Exactly.
In a way, that's kind of like that would be quite a good like T. Davies You Can't Save Everyone trilogy.
Yeah,
know?
Exactly.
So,
but it makes sense to the tone of the show that this is his approach to it. But we will talk about that later.
Yeah. I don't think this episode was shown on Father's Day. And I tell you what, I feel like Father's Day is never really talked about on the BBC. I feel like there's loads of stuff like called Mother's Day online. But I never see stuff called Father's Day. And the thing is, I don't blame people because in our house, Father's Day is not a big deal. But Mother's Day is. I think like Father's Day, you can just get away with a card, can't you? You can here. It's probably different in every house.
What the hell are you talking about?
I just feel like Father's Day is really overlooked.
Okay. Well, in the interest of balance, I don't think either Mother's Day or Father's Day is overlooked, as you say. I think that may be a specific problem with your family, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
It sounds like your dad's having an awful time of it, if that's the case.
Yeah, well, he got slapped by a car, so come on, let's go.
Well, you'll probably find this episode very disturbing then.
I can't believe I said that. Can we bleep that out and just start watching? Can we just cut loads of that out? I'll see you later.
Let me think.
No, please.
No.
Oh,
I don't think so.
I just this episode's so sad that I just feel like saying anything inappropriate in order to get out of watching it. It's so sad.
Good, we'll prepare for 45 minutes more of that. Let's go.
Okay, now this picture of him already, like, that's such an awful, like...
It's like something you see on the news.
Yeah, it is.
It's not very flattering.
Yeah, it's a really unflattering shot. That's terrifying. If you didn't have music,
Yeah.
you would think he was going to kill you or something. Like,
It actually does sort of look like Billy Piper. That's weird.
No, that's Jackie.
No, the girl.
No, I'm joking.
You moron.
I love how all the photos of him are really unflattering. I bet he's had like a Foster's or something, you know?
So I was thinking, could we
Oh, it's the ball thing.
Oh, the ball.
go and see my dad?
Oh, everyone loves the ball. It's a round thing. It's an original round thing.
Oh, I love how all of their memories are like really sweetly kind of rubbish, but lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, her
It's
name's
a working
brilliant.
class wedding.
Well, to be fair.
Suzanne.
I can just so relate to this. Like, in our household, the men never get it right either.
I'll just carry
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't remember my name earlier, so.
On my own.
Yeah. How nice would that work?
To love and behold,
Oh,
till death us do part.
which will be very soon.
I always like to imagine when, like, priests and people read those rites that they actually mean it. That they want to be the wife. It's really funny.
Oh,
He was dead when the ambulance called. I want to be that someone
Aw.
so he doesn't die alone.
There you go.
That kid's doing really good,
1987.
like, acting.
frowny face.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet they just did some long division to make the kid confused, and that's all we got.
I still don't really get long division, can't lie.
Exactly. Bet you'd look horrified if I tried to give it to you.
Yeah. If you tried to give it to me, I'd definitely be horrified.
Well, yeah, probably that too.
The day my father died.
Billy Piper's so good in this show, it's actually ridiculous.
Women's story.
I've never noticed until right now that there's this weird 80s music
music?
going on. Yeah,
What is that music?
was it like Pet Shop Boys or something? 1987's The Isle of Wight, yeah, because it's small and cool.
Oh. Thatcher. Milk
Oh,
Snatcher.
Bad Wolf, Bad Wolf.
Ooh. Oh, I didn't see it.
Yeah,
Oh,
on
damn it.
the Energized poster.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Just get it in, you know. Oh, we just have to put it in. No third
This has
turn.
really got horror style music going over it.
Yes.
To get a wedding. Can I try
See, the
again?
thing is,
No, you can't try
the
again.
Doctor wouldn't normally have let her do that, but because he
No.
understands, because he lost his people, he knows how it feels, and he's thinking.
Yeah, this is not something Capaldi would be risking.
No. But this Doctor is so fresh off the oven
Yeah.
of pain that he
Yeah.
is. is willing to give her a go because he really feels it.
That's a great shot.
That is, they probably use the sun double. Oh, she saved the vase. Imagine if that was what she was trying to do. I bet Jackie would have been well annoyed if that vase had broken.
That's a great name. Good choice. Well done.
Mental.
I love how
She's-
terrified she is.
I know, she's such a fan of herself though, isn't she? Great name.
Yeah.
Better shift, I've got a wedding to go to.
Is that Sarah Cox's wedding?
Is that mine and Chris Evans' wedding?
You and your boyfriend need a lift.
Oh my god.
Oh!
That's like when you tell the teacher you haven't done your homework.
It's
like,
like
oh,
the fourth
no.
week in a row. And that teacher's going to get fired if you don't do your homework and you just don't know that.
Oh man. I love how the Doctor's just so calm. Oh, trust me on this. He's got his drinks in the corner, his pop.
It tastes like Pong.
It does. It's pop.
There it is.
We're not doing this now.
On display. Where it should be.
Oh wow.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I cannot stop.
Fair prize.
It's really bad when the Doctor gives you the silent treatment.
Then I said time machine.
It wasn't some big plan. I just saw it happening and I thought,
No, it's definitely what you thought about. You liar. You horrible liar.
It's another stupid ape. I should have known. It's not about showing you the universe. It never is. It's about the universe doing something for you.
Just like Adam.
when you go to
Yes, it is just like Adam. My
He's
goodness.
judging everyone just like him.
Yeah.
You know what
So
I mean?
again, another reason why that episode is important and useful.
At a vulnerable point.
Yeah.
He's alive.
My entire planet died. My whole family.
Oh,
Do you think
jeez.
it never occurred to me to go back and save them?
For once, you're not the most important man in my life.
Let's see how you get on without me then. Give it a go.
Oh Jesus.
The TARDIS keep. I'm so insignificant. Give it me back.
All right, then I will.
It's a proper lover's tiff, this.
That is like the biggest tantrum I've ever seen the Doctor do.
You know how sad you are. You'll be back in a minute. Will you hang around outside the TARDIS waiting for me?
This is such a
It
horrible.
really is
lover's
such a
tiff.
lover's. It's actually so EastEnders.
Oh yeah, it is like I'm watching EastEnders.
What does she think she's doing?
Yeah, I
She's
don't
in the
mind. I'm
80s.
gonna grow up with my dad.
No, I can't handle it.
This Reaper vision
Oh.
is really cool.
No, not the homeless man.
It's like the cats in the 7th Doctor episode Survival, by the way, the way that they do this. Because
Okay.
there's cats going around the village, like, being really weird. And
She tripped and fell on her own shears.
she was funking murdered!
What a pretty girl like you. I was going out with you.
Stop! Right there.
Yeah,
Just saying.
I
Freud.
know what you're saying, and we're not going there. No
Yeah, 'cause Freud.
Are we going anywhere near there? You aren't even aware that there exists.
Yeah.
About there, and believe me, neither
You
do
share similar genetics. So this is
No,
very...
it's great acting.
Yeah.
Like
The thing is, I actually do genuinely believe that they're related.
Right.
Right, this I can't handle. This I can't handle.
These great close-ups to Christopherson's face.
Yeah.
Damn.
His TARDIS is so rusty and.
Thing is, it's not as bad as the next episode where he has to take a phone call.
Oh, I can't bear that. That is
Oh,
amazing.
it would be so horrible for him. The thing is, I love the
Yeah.
fact that that's just what the prop is anyway.
I'll make this bloody
Yeah. Yeah.
Mad. Isn't it?
Oh,
But that
that's
makes
like,
it more horrible because it breaks the suspension of disbelief in a way that works.
Yeah.
Because
It's like being a millennial when you go out and realise you've left your phone at home.
yeah,
So it's just like, what do I do?
phone, keys, wallet,
Exactly.
possibly headphones. I need you. Classic. This is so classic. I
Oh.
need you. It's great just ringing someone up who likes Doctor Who and doing that, by the way. Just a big shout out if anyone wants to sound like it. It is fun. They get really annoyed. Classic.
Ooh.
Good
Pretty good
special
effects.
effects, yeah. The
Yeah.
effects in the series have really stood up.
Well, they're kind of mixed. It's like half the time you look at like the Jacker Fest or some of the Slitheen, you're like, wow, that's dodgy CGI, and then half the time you think, wow, that looks amazing.
Yeah.
Like Cassandra or this.
You know this church?
Yes.
It's small, so it's strong. It's also old, so it's strong.
No, it's old. So
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
there's so much about the strength
That-
of archaeology in this series.
Listen, Stuart's dad.
That is a meringue, yeah. That's a. I don't know how mental that dress is.
There's no Dave, no
Strong on meringue. I love
That's way
meringue.
too far.
That's sweet.
Oh, my train's
You're sweet.
You're sweet. Oh, nicely done.
Is the accident waiting to happen? You'd be
Irony. Yes, Jackie.
Oh,
Yeah, and you'd be late to your own
because Rose
death.
is an accident.
looking at with your mouth open. Your hair.
Well, that's mental.
What?
Or Baby Rose is like, the fuck is going on?
Awkward baby.
That would be your baby. Not yours, is she?
She saved my life.
Oh, this is really sad. It's that classic thing where you learn stuff about your parents you wish you'd never known.
I was helping her look for my
Because you want your parents to be famous, don't you? I don't mean famous, I meant perfect.
collapsed.
What does that say on the... See,
I don't know.
always read the graffiti in this. It's really interesting. Black Mahmood.
G-E-A.
Mahmood.
I
Mahmood.
don't want to read. I don't want to read anything into that. Black Mohammed, otherwise known as.
You've got to cut that out. That's going.
What do you mean?
You can't say that.
I'm not listening.
Why?
It's the duffel
Because
coat
it's
promise.
Islamic stuff. You can't.
Duffel coat is just a duffel coat.
Duffel coat.
Listen, I promise.
Are you Paddington?
Your daft schemes. Where's the money coming
He's
from?
having an affair with a young bear. It's messed up.
It's really messed up.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Why do you smell of marmalade?
Oh, so you're Mr. Gruber. Oh, it's just terrifying.
Oh,
They're so cool.
classic.
Yeah. Underrated Doctor Who villains because they're kind of plot points. Ah.
Well,
Yeah, but I don't care. They're really cool.
yeah.
Music's really scary. This is like properly like horror music. Oh, Eccleston! I'm not gonna lie. He is absolutely destroying this. Have you noticed the kind of like vagina teeth thing that the Reapers have in their chest?
Yeah, I try not to think about it if I'm brutally honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate the imagery.
Look. Vagina teeth. There was a film about.
Oh, they always go for
vagina
the
teeth.
priests.
Ah,
They
purity.
knew what he did.
Damn. That's horrible. Look. Sorry.
Oh,
It's alright because it's old and small.
it's pretty fucking big if you ask me. It's a church.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Can't get in, hold windows and doors, okay. The
Yeah.
older something is, the stronger it is.
That is not true. You have not seen my grandma.
Yeah, but she'll be like stronger in
Couldn't win
terms.
an arm wrestle to save her life.
Yeah, but some of her temperaments might be stronger.
Well, her views on immigrants definitely are.
I love that he's trying to. Damn. I love that he's trying to get in those like small doors because he's thinking I'll be safer in there.
I might have known you'd argue. Jackie, I'm sick of you.
How do you know my name?
I haven't got
I've never
time
met
for
you in
this.
my life.
No, and you never will unless I sort this out. Now, if you don't mind, I've waited a long time to say this. Jackie Tyler, do as I say. Go and check the doors. My dad was
Damn.
later, right? Now we've got to
So
concentrate on
great.
keeping ourselves alive.
Is this my fault?
Yeah, course it's your fault.
If
What?
it was Jodie Whittaker, we'd be explaining why it's your fault. But no,
Yeah.
no. Chris will just look at you.
They're called the Reapers and they're from the planet Shlalabam.
Shut
They're
up.
famous for their...
But
Yeah.
they wouldn't be called the Reapers either. They'd be called like the Ravna Cappers.
Maybe the old world.
Oh, the shot of Eccleston through the window is amazing.
Yeah, I tell you what, the cinematography's been really good in this.
Yeah.
Been loads of really cool, weird close-ups, interesting angles,
Yeah.
and you know, just the
I've
idea
noticed
to
a lot
shoot
of
it
that.
through the windows.
Very I've noticed a lot of... Well, we both noticed a lot of weird styles of cinematography in different episodes in this one series.
Yeah, it was very different directorial styles throughout it, but
Yeah.
by very different. It's like marginally different, but the marginal differences are making a difference because we're noticing them.
It felt...
He called me dad. It's it.
Yeah, it's just
He's pretty smart.
no, it's just something she's into, though, isn't it?
His attitude.
Very mixed signals.
Save us.
Oh, it's just really
This scene
cute.
is amazing.
Yeah, it's a classic, underrated scene. Well, it's not even underrated.
Yeah.
Who cares?
No, it's amazing. Everyone knows it's great.
It's the life you can never have, which is very much a kind of David Tennant and Rose thing that they touch upon the whole way, right?
I don't want to know, really.
My dad said,
Oh, damn.
Oh,
Well, Dad's in this story.
yeah. True, actually. He lost his dad as a result of Rose. That's really horrible.
And the vicar died, also known as the father.
Yeah.
They're in a church.
Oh, stop it.
You know? I can't stop it.
It's a
too
good
much.
point. Like,
street
the thing is,
Yeah.
it's hard to know if the writer meant to do that stuff. But as a writer, like, you probably normally just put random
Oh.
stuff in there like that anyway, to see if people will make their own story from that.
I'll try and save you.
How was Susan conceived?
So him wanting a life like that is probably exactly why he's attracted to Rose so much, I should imagine.
Yes, actually, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
What am I like? Have I gone grey?
Well, you could say that.
Have I gone bald?
Actually, you're the king of bedtime stories.
Hey.
More,
Good
oh,
timing.
I love this. It's so weird.
I just didn't recognise him in a suit. You have to let go of me, sweetheart.
Oh, typical.
You know what,
Can't let go
though?
of her. He did the same hug that he gave her
Yes,
at the end of
at
Rose.
the end of
He wouldn't
Rose.
let go of her.
Yeah.
Me and Rose were just talking.
Oh yeah, talking. Well,
Mickey
the
must.
world comes to an end.
Gee,
What
Mickey
do you
must
do?
love
Cling
Rose.
to the youngest blonde.
Wow. Like you, Jackie. I mean, jeez.
To be fair, she might be the youngest blonde there, apart from Rose.
You come
So
first.
Jackie's thinking like she's like one short of the big time, like 006 type thing.
Like she's planning to kill Rose. She's now still the youngest blonde.
Yeah, it's like
That's a
Lady
great idea for a
Cassandra.
serial killer. Yeah.
What? That would be mental. Yeah, but it is like Cassandra, though, isn't it? Like she must be the last
Yeah.
human. I must be the youngest blonde. I don't know. Technically, that
Oh,
Rose.
this is great.
This is the youngest blonde, isn't it?
Doctor speaks, baby.
Yes, actually.
Yeah.
Jackie gave it to me to look after. How times change.
I better be careful. I think I just imprinted myself on Mickey like a mother chicken.
Mother chicken. How does that work? What is a Is a mother chicken related to Mr. Chicken? What is this?
It's because they can't say motherfucker.
Mother clucker, like a mother clucker.
Motherfucker!
Paradox might let them in.
Oh, man.
Do anything right, can I?
Since you ask, no. So, touch the baby. You could have fooled
Yeah.
me.
For me.
Maybe the best line delivery by the Ninth Doctor. Not sure.
It's up there with that whole Dalek scene. I can't lie.
Yeah.
My whole body just feels like roast chicken now. I can't do anything.
My people would have stopped this.
Oh,
But they're
Damn.
gone.
that's interesting.
Now it's
Speaking
going
of
to be
someone who never watched
repossessed.
Old Who before this,
Really?
Yeah,
that actually explains what the Time Lords were about
true.
for the first time.
Well, that's for just
Actually.
upholding the laws of time, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Aww. Oh, he holds her face like her dad did. The music. Here-
Oh my god, he's not wearing his jacket.
Yes, wow, that's the first time.
What?
Duh. I love how he gives the speech from there.
Now, I just
It's so
need a
cool.
Yeah.
Has anybody got a back?
Oh wow, look, Jesus is behind him.
Yeah.
It's what the Doctor will come to represent in a way throughout the T Davies
Well,
era. A kind of
We'll talk
space
about this
Jesus.
later, but well, this is an episode about a person who has to sacrifice his life to save everyone,
Yeah, true.
so kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Because someone didn't want him to die. It's a bit like the Last Temptation of Christ in a way.
Hmm.
Because he doesn't really want to die, so he sees it flash before his eyes, the life he could have had.
Yeah.
And then obviously Jesus being Jesus does the right thing.
Mm. Again, that comes up later with the
Yeah,
human nature two-parter.
Yes, which by the same writer.
Oh, of course it is.
So
Oh
he
my
does the Last
goodness.
Temptation of Christ thing twice. Here he
Well,
does
he
it
does
with
it well.
Rose. The next, and Rose's dad. The next time he does it with
The Doctor.
yeah, that's mental.
Amazing.
That was worth this whole review happening just for us to realise that.
Absolutely.
My
Yeah.
goodness,
That was just a
Oh,
coincidence.
I didn't realise he was wearing that purple shirt. Looks awful.
Amazing.
I'm not sure if he was earlier.
Has he changed shirt? This guy gets really sweaty, so he keeps extra shirts on him. Maybe it's like a business idea
I've done that.
that he can like turn it inside out.
You took us for picnics in the country every Saturday.
What, those little Cadbury's bars that no one likes?
Hey, I'll have you know that is an average chocolate bar.
Someone
Leave it alone.
This is
Oh,
so
this
cool.
Is brilliant.
I love it, love it, love it.
Oh, it's going to great
Yay!
effects as well.
His home's coming back. Oh, it's the ghost.
Little Lucy
It's
was
the ghost
jumping around.
monument. It's the ghost monument.
Oh, don't.
Anyone touches that key, it'll be well. Zap. Just leave it be, and everything will be.
Did you see that? A zap. He just did a little thing with his
Brap,
hand.
brap.
Just like that.
Oh, you can't see me. I'm doing that thing with my hand. Wow. I can't unsee that.
Yeah.
I really want to see the Doctor do a diss trap now. That'd be great.
Rose tried to save her daddy's life
No,
when she caused me a lot of strife. Don't
I'm
touch
stopping
the
you now, I'm
baby.
stopping
Don't
you
touch
now.
the baby.
Run over your dad. No.
I'm your dad. It's my job.
What serious depression? That is one of the best things I always think about dads. Dads always say stuff like that.
How old are you? 12? Oh, it's disgusting.
Jack. This is
I love how the doctor leaves. Like, oh yeah, I'll leave Pete to explain this. He's got it covered.
For a second-hand name, how many are there? Call them all
She's
now.
so stupid.
It's the same Rose.
No! No! Why did
You
I walk
moron!
away?
Oh wow. Oh, this is so horrible. Oh,
Oh,
my God.
the doctor's been eaten.
Why? It's amazing this guy isn't in more stuff.
He's an excellent
He's done
actor.
an excellent job in one scene of it's accepting death, essentially.
It's unbelievable. Take on responsibility, Pete. Change. At the
Yeah.
start of this episode, you were a mess. Now you must
Yeah.
take on responsibility. You have had a character arc. Congratulations.
The worst thing is he's going to die in an awful shirt.
It's true.
No, there isn't.
The colour grading here, have you noticed they've made it a lot less saturated all of a sudden?
Muted, yeah.
Yeah,
What are you talking about?
Also, the whole scene is a lot more dimly lit,
yeah.
like it's dying.
It's not overlit.
Well, no, of course it isn't. Never is. Oh.
Oh, Dad taking responsibility. Yes, Daddy. Who am I? I'm the daddy. Oh, it's so sad.
Jackie. She's ours.
God.
I feel like an absolute crying Kiwi. I can just feel like the pips are coming out of me.
You're going to get rid of me at last.
Don't say that.
Don't say that. Oh my goodness, the guilt she feels.
It's got to be done.
Trust me on this.
Survive.
Trust me on this, Jack.
I've had all these extra hours. No one else in the world has ever had that. And on top of that, I get to see you.
To be fair, she did something better, weirdly, by doing it. It's by making him realise that his life wasn't pointless.
Yeah.
Because that was obviously his opinion of himself. But now
Yeah.
he has to say that he did something right.
Well, obviously that's why he's always trying to come up with new inventions and stuff. He's trying to prove himself.
He doesn't need to anymore.
No. Because this is his greatest invention was his daughter.
Yeah. Or like Mr. Stark.
She's gonna need some hamburgers after this. Or is it cheeseburgers?
Run, you pillock.
Speaking of cheeseburgers, I really believe the steaks right now.
Wow. That was so cheesy.
I'm in the corner, getting hit by
Very
a car.
pre-watershed death there. Just
Oh yeah, but we didn't
show
have to.
the-
We
show
didn't have
the
to see
vase.
his like arm come off or anything. Oh, I see the
see
vase.
the
Yeah.
full slapping.
The
Oh,
vase.
brilliant.
The vase represents. Yay! Come into shot, my friend.
Oh,
Go to him. Quick.
yes, Doctor.
Yeah. Oh. Rose, go to him. Rose.
You come and ask me, girl, to run you over. This might be a bad moment, but Pete's size 8 because it says on his shoes. That's really weird.
Really?
Yeah, it says 8 on his shoes.
No, my feet are bigger than his.
There you go. Hey, the dad's back.
Yay! Everything's back to normal.
How about no one cares that he's back?
Look at those ears.
Oh.
Peter
Taking
and
up the
Tyler,
frame.
My dad
I like how the guy hasn't driven off. They've made sure that he stayed.
died the 7th of November.
Yeah.
I bet Eccleston
Well,
just.
Doctor- yeah.
I bet Eccleston just made his face at him. You know, that
Well,
horrible
while
face he does.
while Rose was watching Pete, the Doctor was sort of slamming his head into the car, going, "Don't you go anywhere."
Yeah. I'm a police box. That shot really made me. That really made me want like an Indian. That shot.
Oh, I can't watch this next time. It's too exciting.
Okay, should I pause my next time?
I'm going to pause it because I can't handle it.
Wait, was she hanging from a... Oh my goodness, I'm too scared. I'm not watching this. I'm so scared. I put this right up.
No, I won't be able to talk about this episode if I'm thinking about that one. It's too much. It's too much. Right. God, coming from the long game to this, like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Why would you? How can you do that to someone?
I can't believe...
Change the tone that much.
Yeah, but you got to... And they're going to change the tone for, like, 3 episodes, and we've only... Like, this does make you realise how important having the long game in there was. You know, we needed to relax. We probably needed something that was below an 8. We probably did. Like, just because...
I don't know if that's true.
I just don't know if I can handle this amount of quality.
Yeah, well, this is definitely the sort of the domestic heart of the series, I would say.
It's domestic Dalek. It really is. And one of the things I was wanting to say, but I thought I'd save it till now, is I genuinely find this episode definitely as upsetting to watch. If not for me, a bit more, because it's meant to be close.
It feels more real.
It's close to home, isn't it, for people? This kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, it's less. Obviously, one was more like PTSD, and more about something that was harder to relate to.
And one's about...
Whereas for Rose, it's something that's very real. For
exactly. A lot of people don't always feel like they have that relationship with their parents, or, you know, the bit... It's so... Like, I was crying. The bit where, like, she I know, in context, where she calls him daddy, and that is actually really lovely. It's so...
it's
because when people use, you know, words like that, effective, like, what was the word? Like, compassionately and properly, it just makes it so, like, it's just so sad, because it's like she in that moment is just his child, and it's so...
Well, she's a child,
and throughout this whole episode she's a crying child. She is. She's an absolute wreck.
I find it interesting how when she first screws up and saves him, they make it very clear that it's like Rose's almost end game in going in the TARDIS was to do that, essentially. Yeah. Which I find interesting, how her first sort of act was almost selfish. Which is funny.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Rose really dropping the ball throughout the whole series.
She's a very flawed character. She really is, and that's why she's interesting and realistic. She's not Clara, is she?
No. I mean, yeah, because Clara's perfect. Anyway, we're not doing that. Yeah. Oh, man alive. Yeah. Excruciatingly sad, and you know, unlike us, they handle all that subject matter very sensitively, which is difficult. You know, it's a difficult thing to.
Yeah, well, I mean,
off
this episode is,
show like that.
And I feel like this week's podcast is probably the whole thing's just going to come across as like we're being offensive, because it's really hard to, like, just to. The thing is,
humour is the first line of defence.
Exactly.
For people like us.
Whenever I have had something interesting.
I don't want to be emotional. Make a joke.
Exactly. Whenever I had something, like, honestly, I promise you, viewers, whenever I watch this on my own, I just cry. I cry for a lot of it. It's so sad. It is. This is possibly the most consistently sad episode of Doctor Who ever, in terms of from start to finish being sad. It might not. I think Doomsday has got the saddest moment of Doctor Who, where they're on each side of the wall. But I think this has got the most moment by moment. There's no respite in this. There is no moment of this that isn't horrible.
It's also very fast paced, surprisingly, for an episode where they spend most of their time in a church.
Yeah,
you know, it's very fast paced. But what I find nice is, for an episode that's constantly dwelling about death, is that, as we said, the entire function of the episode isn't actually to dwell on his death. It's actually to show how they can turn that situation into improving people's lives massively.
Yeah, and kind of like
first of all, it makes
celebrates
Jackie
his life.
care for her child a lot more, because she was sort of resentful towards her, because it seemed like she felt it was ruining her life.
Yeah,
and it also meant Pete managed to die, you know, happy with his life.
Yeah, and
which is too rich. She basically saves her parents by doing it.
Yeah, well, you do see that Jackie, only in their very last exchange in that episode, you do see that Jackie does love him, really.
Yeah,
you know, stuff's more.
But in the same way that, most wives give their husbands hell like that,
or husbands give their wives hell. You know, it's
yeah.
All couples are imperfect, and this, you know, it's just a really mature handling of people. This episode, like, because, you know, sometimes people get divorced who do love each other. Do you know what I mean? It's just that kind of angle where it's like, They can love
Yeah.
each other and they can be a completely imperfect relationship. It's not easy. Like everything about
Yeah,
this.
I mean, that's all just background stuff that T. Davies puts a lot into his writing. I know it's not T. Davies writing it, but his era.
His era, yeah.
Like this episode, I don't think would have fitted in. I don't think it would have fitted in really in even a Tennant series, particularly.
No, it's actually too gritty.
Yeah,
Very
it's
gritty.
It's too close to home.
You know
too
the bit where
morbid.
they go back to it's morbid as yeah, like you know the bit where they go back to his apartment and she's showing him all the stuff, trying to show her dad off, and then her dad's kind of hitting on her and.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I think
What do you think about the bit where he's like trying to say that she's really attractive, really disturbing, which Billy Piper deals with excellently. I love that.
Oh, it's brilliant, but
That's so good.
It's the it's just the whole Freud thing, isn't it? You know, it's like so isn't it in the Oedipus story? This is possibly wrong.
The Oedipus story.
So the Oedipus complex is like Freud's big thing, and like
okay.
the guy in it sleeps with his mum, not knowing it was his mum.
Oh, jeez.
Because the idea is that people would, if they
That's
didn't,
like
if they didn't,
Back to the Future.
Well, exactly. No, but Back to the Future, that is the point. It's meant to be Freudian.
Yeah.
So the idea is that if people don't know they're related and they haven't put in their head that taboo on it, then they would do that. Which I mean, I'm not saying incest is a good thing. It's not. But what I'm saying is it makes
it's natural.
It makes some logical sense in terms of like apparently what I learned in English in year 11 for some reason, as well as learning where hummus comes from. I also learned.
Where does it come from?
It's
Egypt, isn't it, or is it Morocco?
I think it's like there's a factory. I can't actually remember now.
Oh,
there's
I thought you meant what nation invented it.
Oh
not
no,
what
no.
factory
I mean,
it comes from.
there's a factory that apparently Tesco, Sainsbury's, all of them get their hummus from the same place, and they've only got slightly different packaging and stuff. And
I think we're blowing this story wide open.
the point is that the Oedipus thing, right? So what I was going to say, genetics, people who you are attracted to is actually a lot of it is for genetic underlying subliminal genetic reasons that you're not thinking about or noticing. So
I think that's a tough. Yeah, I mean that's a slightly sketchy kind of argument.
I love doing it as a game though. So like whenever someone I know starts going out with someone, in my mind I do always make a shout as if they'll stay together based on similar genetics or character traits. And if they're not similar, I think right, is she or he like their parents? And a lot of the time they are. Because people either like what they know.
That's a big waste of your life.
Well, it's just interesting. It's a really fun game to play.
You've just got like a wall covered in photos with lines between them. Going, oh my god, it's all connected.
Well, I mean, yeah, but come on.
It's a good thing time travel isn't real.
That is
Otherwise
how it
everyone's going to be
works.
petrified that they're accidentally going out with members of their family. Do blood tests before you go out for drinks.
Oh, damn.
Dreadful. Yeah.
Okay. What did you think of the Reapers?
Yeah, well, it's what's really interesting is actually what you pointed out a bit in the episode, which is that they're not necessarily they're just sort of a symptom of the actual villain of the episode, which is just fucking around with time. But it's interesting how they're sort of just kind of there. They're a very passive villain. They're just like, representing nature, the nature of, time. When you mess with it, it messes with you. Like they're there to sterilize the wound. They're like antibodies for the universe.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. They're an excellent idea, and they have a really cool design. And that's for a villain like that. That's kind of all you need, considering it isn't the real villain. There isn't really a villain in that episode. Rose is the closest thing there is to a villain, but then what she does turns out to be a very commendable thing to do, sort of, even though it was technically wrong.
Yeah.
So I think the Reapers are great. I don't think they're underrated, but I think most people agree they're really cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to say I wish they could be used again, but as we said, because every Doctor Who showrunner has a completely different attitude to how time mechanics works, it would be hard to reintroduce the Reapers without basically sort of agreeing that you're forcefully adopting the style of T. Davies, because T. Davies doesn't really use time mechanics that much to solve his problems. Moffat bases most of his big plot points on time mechanics.
Yeah, well, he doesn't use. He doesn't try solve.
And he doesn't
problems.
use the Reapers.
He
couldn't use the Reapers.
The difference
it would be
between
impossible to fit them in.
The main difference between how Moffat and T. Davies approach time travelers. Rusty Davies does it. I mean, it's Paul Cornell, but I mean, in his era, he uses time travel to establish issues, and in Stephen Moffat, he uses it to solve issues. And that's
Yeah,
great. I
it's-
think
for
both are
yeah.
great. Isn't it? Neither is better than the other.
Oh no, of course not.
It's just
But
different
but it
approach.
is interesting that because T. Davis's attitude and the attitude of having it being very, very domestic, very gritty means that when you mess with time, you have to go for something really horrible. The Reavers are probably visually, I'm trying to think now, the most sort of gruesome looking villains of the series. I'd have to say.
Yeah.
I know there are more creepy ones that are coming up in the next episode, but
Yeah, but I could not
The
watch
Reavers
that.
are really-
I could not watch that next time.
no, exactly, because we wouldn't be able to talk about this. If
Yeah.
we were thinking about it. It would be far too much, and also we'd get a look at Jack, and we'd be losing it. I shouldn't have mentioned it, should I?
No, I'm not. I'm just going to
Anyway.
ignore you. I'm just
No,
going to
no,
ignore you.
no,
I'm going to be better.
What? my weirdly, even though I'm not saying that the episode gets worse, my favourite scene is the bit where he goes to the TARDIS and there's nothing in it. Because as a kid, that was like, I mean, obviously it was the first series of Doctor Who I'd ever watched, but that really scared me.
It's mad.
The Doctor is, cocky and confident, and obviously the cleverest guy in the room. And when he is absolutely mortified.
He has
when he
everything.
sees that.
That's everything he has.
Yeah, exactly.
Gone.
And it's the only power he has over the entire world.
Yeah,
So when he does that,
yeah.
it's completely crumbles. He just legs it.
Like the meta genius of having basically that being the only time as the audience where you actually see the prop. So the magic for you is gone.
Yeah.
That's genius. Like
Yeah, that's true.
and that is partially why I think it has a really uncanny effect whenever you watch it. Because it's just
it
not
unsettles you because
what
it makes you suddenly feel subconsciously that the Doctor is no longer an amazing alien. He's just a bloke who has a box with him.
Oh my,
He's useless.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
that's a really good point. I'd never even thought of it like that. Yeah.
Fair play.
What's your favourite scene?
My favourite scene.
I know what my second is, and I reckon your favourite would be my second favourite.
Oh no, your second favourite. I don't know if your second. I'm just not gonna guess what yours is because okay. And my favourite bit is, the bit where he says, I don't. It all blends together now. I'm not sure if this is the same bit. The bit where he's like, I never read you bedtime stories. I never did any of that, and then she's like, the bit where she's like, you're my dad or whatever, like that bit. It's really emotional, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like that bit honestly destroys me.
Yeah.
It's one of the saddest.
Me,
it's one of the saddest things.
Where he's looking out the window.
Oh, that's amazing.
All the close-ups through the windows are really horrible.
Yeah, it's really, really coolly shot, that bit. The fact that we always
also helps you
see
to feel like
them
they're
through
trapped.
outside the window. Yeah, it's just so
Yeah.
cool. So I love that bit. I'm not gonna lie. I think there's no moment in this that isn't absolutely incredible. I think the whole thing is solidly incredible. No moment is not in complete service of what's going on, of the characters, and of the atmosphere of absolute sadness to the whole thing. The "Don't touch the baby" is the absolute meme from this episode. It's amazing. That is awesome.
Absolutely.
Was that what you were going to say?
It's in the
before?
title. It's in the title of the video.
Is that what we're doing? Okay, cool.
It
Yeah,
is, yeah.
yeah. No,
Of course it is.
don't. Yeah, I mean that's one of our.
The baby.
That's just a classic moment.
We've said that way too many times. We've said that more than the joke about the fan from Charles
And the
Dickens.
thing is, the baby one, we don't even have any context to it. So we just
No.
say it. Whereas the fan one is normally when we're talking about being a fan of something. In what way are you a fan?
Yes.
In what way do you call me on?
Don't! Why are you doing it again?
I love it.
We've done this a few weeks
It's
back.
just so good.
I think for me, the baby, it just represents anything. So you say, "Don't touch it." You say, "Don't touch the baby."
Yeah.
It just works.
I think that's how it comes up, isn't it?
It's contextual. What am I talking about? This episode also does an excellent job of endearing the Doctor to us in a way that hasn't done so far, because he's not come across particularly friendly or nice or humble throughout the series. But when he has that little chat with the couple who are about to get married, to talk about all he's wanted is a normal life,
which is
really
so
horrible, it's really
important
sad.
to the David Tennant's relationship with Rose, and he could never have that.
No, but it's shown at the beginning in this one because he really wants that with Rose, and so when she starts acting up on him, he really has a tantrum.
Yeah,
which I'd forgotten about that scene where he loses it once the TARDIS kid stomps off.
I forgot.
It's really sad.
I forgot we saw that today. I forgot we saw that today. We've seen so much.
Well, it's just so fast paced, just blasted through it.
Yeah.
We say this about every episode we watch. This always happens.
I wonder if I was...
Apart from the long game, that felt like it was going on for a while.
I don't know. I felt
Weirdly.
a bit longer. That felt like half an hour, whereas all the other ones have felt like 15 minutes. I feel like I'd be interested to see if we were to just randomly do this for like, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but for like a Capaldi episode, so like Extremists, if we would feel like that blasted by. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe.
I don't think we
Again,
would.
that's different because that's part of a particularly bizarre three.
Okay, Oxygen then.
It's not its own story. Oxygen, yeah, probably.
But I don't know.
There aren't many episodes that are easily comparable to Father's Day in the rest of.
No, I think the only one we found is
can
Human
think
Nature
of.
because it does the last temptation of Christ, letting someone
Yeah.
see what their life would have been like. It does it with
And
Pete
having to
here,
make
and
sacrifices.
exactly, and
Yeah.
at the end, because in that episode, the Christ is the Doctor, and in this episode, Christ is Pete.
I think that's a lot more. Well, I was going to say that's a lot more transparent in Human Nature, but obviously in this one, like you say, it's in a church. There's a lot of the Doctor acting like God, essentially commanding Pete to die.
Yeah, and what can happen and what can't happen.
Because I mean, the Doctor and Pete weirdly are both sort of. I mean, the Doctor's sort of a father figure to Rose in some ways. So, in that metaphor, the Doctor would probably represent God.
In that
obviously.
he cares for him. Again, it's the kind of Freudian thing where like the idea of being
exactly.
that a husband or whatever can and a wife, they kind of replace the mother and the father, which they kind of do. Like that's what moving out is, isn't it?
Yeah, but the Doctor also actually sacrifices himself, technically.
Yeah.
So I mean, I assume it never really gets explained, but I've kind of always assumed, I assume you have as well, that he was doing that in order to try and stop the Reapers because he's such a massive time event that maybe
That's how
they would consume him and then leave him alone. Maybe that is what happened, actually. I'm not sure.
Well, that's how I've squared. That's why he does it, or to save them time at least.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's probably more just like if anyone's going to go, he's going to sacrifice himself. He's the Doctor plays very fast and loose with his own life ever since the Time War. That's made very clear in a lot of episodes.
Oh yeah, because he doesn't want to be alive.
Yeah,
I mean,
and he's very, very much annoyed with Rose for that reason because he knows that he can't do what Rose did. So it's like she's abusing her power, almost being uptight and what's the word? Spoiled for it.
Yeah, it's rude.
For doing that and acting like it. Yeah, it's extremely.
It's
rude
very
and
disrespectful of how he feels.
Disrespectful to him. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very disrespectful. Imagine if like the Doctor had basically just grabbed Pete as if it was a town called Mercy and just threw him in front of the car.
Pulled a gun out at him.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay, so I just had a look online to see if the Reapers appear much in like other Doctor Who stuff.
I bet they appear in a Big Finish or a novelisation.
I think they're in a Big Finish thing for the first Doctor.
I could have sworn I saw them on the front cover of an Eccleston Doctor's
I don't
book. I never
know.
read
They're
them,
in.
but I had
Oh
one.
yeah, they're. I think they're in quite a few comics, basically.
Yeah, that might have been it.
They're in a thing called The Four Doctors, which I think is
Comics are so weird.
9th,
Doctor Who
11th
comics really
ward.
freak me out.
Yeah, they
I
make
used to read a couple of them.
They-
I remember Sally Sparrow turns up in a 9th Doctor comic.
they make me
That's
feel
so weird.
physically sick because it's basically like reading Doctor Who comics is like being like, because I know Big Finish is different. Big Finish doesn't do this in the same way. I mean, they do it a bit, but the comics are literally like, oh yeah, so like all the Doctor Who canon, just who cares about that? Like whatever. Let's just Sarah Jane can just be K9's mum or something. It really doesn't matter.
This is. I mean, as we've discussed in the previous episode, I don't really, for Doctor Who at least, I don't really do extended universe stuff because it always feels a little bit off to me. So that, I completely agree on that front.
No, it just makes me feel
They always feel
physically.
bizarre.
They're just. It's just like, because the difference is, I mean, I'd just be like, why don't I just watch just TV instead of reading that? I know this is stupid, but the thing is, it's something like Batman and that, like it's comics first, isn't it? I think anything where a comic.
Oh wow.
No, but the comics are like what makes it. I mean, it's not like the comics are what birthed Doctor Who. The comic is basically like just a.
No.
I mean, we're probably being really horrible. I bet there's some amazing Doctor Who comics out there, but
Sure. But
in
only
Doctor
by virtue
Who,
of the fact that there are bloody thousands.
yeah,
of them.
exactly. I mean, in
It's like
Doctor
a million monkeys and typewriters.
in Doctor Who canon, David Bowie is a companion. In Doctor Who canon, sorry, there is a thing where
When?
it's like I think he's like an 11th Doctor companion or something. I can't remember.
So, but hang on, but what era of Bowie? That's important.
Like Aladdin's Sane. Let's have a look. David Bowie,
Oh, okay.
Doctor Who.
Wait, is that he's not the Thin White Jig by that point, is he? He's still Ziggy.
He's in The Horror of Glam Rock, which is an audio. Oh no, he's not.
Horror of Glam
Oh
Rock.
no, sorry, he was mentioned in that. I'm just trying to find the comics
right,
he was
okay.
in. I don't know. I just saw some really weird stuff on it.
I'm just imagining now the Horror of Glam Rock. This is Freddie Mercury with fangs going Anyway,
It's a pun. It's a pun on the Horror of Fang Rock, which is the episode that has the Routons in. The Routons are in that one,
Okay.
which is cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Are the Sontarans in it as well? Or
No.
are they just not really connected in that?
I haven't seen the Horror of Fang Rock. It's one of the only 3 episodes of the Fourth Doctor I haven't seen.
It's probably worth mentioning that Christopher knows a lot of old Who. I don't really. I'm not because I don't want to, just because I haven't managed to spend as much time as he has in his childhood doing it. So whenever we talk about old Who, I'm not very clued in. I've seen like 4 or 5 episodes
You've
of
seen
old Who.
Ark in Space, Sontaran Experiment,
The Revolution of the Daleks.
Do you mean
It's a 2-part Colin Baker.
Resurrection? You mean?
Is it Resurrection?
Yeah.
I thought it was Revolution because they're 2 factions.
No,
fighting.
apparently Revolution of the Daleks is what the next one's going to be called. As in Jodie Whittaker.
There's going to be another one?
Yeah, well, they've got to do it every year. They haven't made an appearance this year, have they?
Oh, Christ. Wasn't Resolution enough? I'd rather them get rid of the Daleks at this point.
Oh, Resolution was this year.
We've gotten off track again.
Sorry, okay, let's just talk about the episode. Best performance.
I probably want to give it to Pete.
Oh, no.
Tyler.
Absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. Rose and Eccleston are a 10 in this, but you've got to give it to
We always
Pete.
have to discount them as being... But, I mean, to be fair, in particular, Billie Piper in this episode...
She kills it.
This is probably this might be her best...
What, in this series?
This might be her best performance. Might be her best performance in Doctor Who.
Yeah, you're possibly not wrong.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's definite, but
you
she's amazing.
You could be right. So,
and Eccleston's also amazing, just generally.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a 10 in every episode ever.
It's really it would really be between Jackie and Pete.
Yeah, well, Pete is so good in this that off the strength of this, he ends up being in 3 other episodes.
Yeah.
He's excellent.
And it's nice. It does feel earned as well. The whole parallel universe. Because she always wished that she'd had a dad, and in a different universe, he lived, but Rose never existed, which is quite darkly comedic to me. I think
he's unbelievable in this. He's unbelievably good.
Yeah,
he's such
a relatable character.
He's probably the best character introduced in this series. Who isn't a companion or Jackie / Mickey?
I was going to say,
or Jackie / Mickey. Like, he's better than
they're companions. They've been in the TARDIS.
Yeah, cool. I count them as companions, so I just wanted to beat around the bush about if you did. So basically, yeah. I mean, he's up there. Him and Van Statten are just the killer things. But I'd say especially Pete. I think I cannot express how good I think he is in this episode. It's
just so relatable. It's so well written. He as a character is so well written.
Yeah.
There are so many aspects of it's because there's a horrible feeling of like how people feel about whether their life matters and what would happen if they died. And it's this episode really makes me feel uncomfortable.
It's big themes this episode, isn't it? It's big themes, and I cannot lie.
And balanced extremely well.
This episode,
the tone of this episode never drops.
It's a masterpiece.
Never loses.
This episode is a masterpiece.
Christopher, I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to answer. Father's Day out of 10.
10. It's
11. Yeah, happy with that.
No, like in terms of how I feel about this episode, I'm not going to make any objective claims, but in how I feel about this episode, in some ways, and in the way that it is really just Rose's Dalek. Watching this was as good as watching.
That's an excellent way of putting it.
Was as good as watching Dalek. I was as impressed by this as I was by Dalek. Dalek, I was impressed in like a sci-fi cult Doctor Who way. This episode sort of doesn't even feel like Doctor Who, but it is.
No.
So it
feels like a family drama.
Yeah, it's so different. It's so hard to compare. If I was doing a list of best ever Doctor Who episodes ever, don't get me wrong, this would be in the top tier. It would. But definitely. It's so hard to place.
Before watching this today, I had this in my head as being around sort of a 9, but this time having discussed it and watched it, I agree with you. I think it is a 10.
It's perfect.
It is. It's perfect TV, and it is a great. In some ways, do you think it would have been better if it came straight after Dalek to deconstruct the two back to back? Would it have been too much?
It would have been too much, but also
In a good way.
Maybe, but you were pointing out some really important stuff. In terms of the whole Adam thing, you've just had Adam prove that he wasn't. You've got to imagine you're watching this first time. You've just had Adam show that if he acts in a selfish way using time travel, he will be sent home. So then, as a viewer,
it's true.
when you're first watching this, you're thinking, wait, you really think Rose screwed up. We've got hindsight, so we know he'll forgive her. But first time watching, you don't know if the Doctor will forgive her because you've just seen him drop someone else who he barely knows off with a hole in his head. So you're thinking,
and saying, "Oh, I only take the best. That's why I've got Rose," and then Rose proceeds to completely let him down. That's a very good point.
Okay,
actually.
Before you,
for that alone,
before we wrap this up, you've got to tell us why he's wearing green.
He's wearing green because he was wearing green in everything in the last 3 episodes. He just hasn't taken it off. I think ever since Dalek, he's been so emotionally distraught that he hasn't changed his clothes. He must stink at this point.
Do you think he wears roll-on?
This is representative of the fact that he can't get over what's happened.
Maybe
the fact that he hasn't changed his shirt.
He's such...
he can't move on, but by the next episode we'll see if he has moved on.
I bet he's wearing roll-on. He's such a roll-on guy.
I bet. Absolutely, you can't imagine he wouldn't put on links. That's such a Matt Smith.
Yeah, Matt Smith will go for the links. I feel like this Eccleston's like right guard kind of guy. You know right guard. If I ever wear right guard, I still sweat. Like I think I'm just gonna put it out there. I think Shaw is the best. Shaw is definitely the best.
Won't let you down.
Yeah, you can be.
I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone who uses. I don't know anyone who uses roll-on.
Do you reckon?
I find it as weird as a concept.
It's just a dad thing to do, isn't it? Like,
I'm going to rub something on me that's already touched my sweat. So what's the point? Just rubbing more of your sweat.
But if you want to be extra sure, what you do is you use roll-on and then you spray. My main point is that Father's Day is absolutely
What was your point?
I can't remember. I was about to say something really important. To summarise,
no, it's about his jumper. If he isn't wearing a mauve jumper in the next one, I will be bitterly disappointed.
Because his mauve is dangerous.
His mauve is dangerous. I'm really looking forward.
I'm so glad that this is over. That I don't have to watch this again. It's just
absolutely. It's
just the least fun thing ever. But it's like going to a funeral because funerals don't tend to be fun. Let's be honest. But like you do come away from a funeral feeling better about...
It's the sort of episode that makes you come out and want to phone your family.
Yeah, you appreciate what you've got more. You appreciate... And in some ways, we've got to look back at Pete Tyler and, he cared for his daughter. That's such a... Yeah. You know what? Sometimes at funerals, when they don't have anything to say about people that is necessarily unusual... They'll still say, that person cared about their family. And you know what? Sometimes people say, oh, is that it? But you know what? This episode shows that's enough. And not it's enough. Well, that's a great thing.
Family turns up in a big way in this episode with, Mickey and his family, or absence of it, in some ways. And then obviously Rose and her family.
What do you think of him?
Couple with the kid coming.
What do you think of him giving her a big cuddle?
I think it's absolutely amazing.
I love Mickey so
I really
much.
wish he'd said, "There's my woman."
There's my woman.
I think it's really sweet, but I think I love. I mean, you can never tell what the writer intends to do, but I love the idea that it was intentional for him to have latched onto her as an adult.
Yeah,
it's really messed up. It's great.
But I mean, they do say that like the seeds of your entire life are sown until like 10 years old at least. So. Makes sense, because of course they are. They're your first 10 years, you can't just undo your first 10 years, you can't forget them.
No, absolutely. The great thing about that episode is it's old, and the older it gets, the stronger it gets.
Well played, sire.
This has been Outta 10. Thank you so much for listening, and quite frankly, I'm as shocked as you are that we're still doing this. If, by some miracle, you've enjoyed this, do leave a comment or give a suggestion for what we should talk about next. You can also find us on Twitter at Outta_10 or send us an email to outta10podcast@gmail.com. We hope you can join us for our next review of Doctor Who, and do keep an eye out for some film and music discussions coming up in the following weeks. See you soon. Oh man.
Oh, I really wish I hadn't spoken.
Right, you got your episode ready?
Yeah, give me a second. I am genuinely embarrassed. Can you please put a foghorn up over some of that?
No.
Really? Did you think it was funny?
Yep.
Oh,